Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome as the Apex Racing League Touring Car of Britain Series returns for the season finale, live and exclusive here on Apex Racing TV. It's been a season that's taken in all of the classic British circuits and provided some absolute classic action on track to match. And the final round will be heading to Brands Hatch on the Indy configuration of the circuit. Now, the first proper race here at Brands Hatch was an unusual 4-mile match race between cyclists and cross-country runners all the way back in 1928. But rather surprisingly, the runners won, although they did have the advantage of having Australian world champion Jackie Hubin among their numbers. But one thing we are guaranteed of here today is action and excitement. I'm Tim Cox and we have Samuna Kumo in the production booth, but right now, as I have been all season, joined by Johan Karinas. Johan, welcome along. Of course, we've got 28 drivers on a really short circuit. Of course, the Indy configuration being just under 2 kilometers in length. And, well, we saw how spicy things got back at Knock Hill, obviously a similar size track. And I can only see the touch paper being well and truly fully lit here.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle for the ages, and I've just about recovered from the previous week, the previous race we had last week, and I'm good to go. I've been dreading the day a little bit. It's been so much fun seeing these guys battle it out all across the season. You can see Will Redford here, absolute dominant force throughout the entire series. It's been an absolute pleasure watching him and the other drivers as well, especially some of the AM drivers kind of climbing their way to the top, some of them actually getting podiums as well. So been a very good season, and I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do tonight. It is a very short track, as you've said, so essentially you just take the entire Brands Hatch circuit, chop it off at 30s, just draw a straight line to Clark Curve, and you're done. So it almost looks like a bit of a kidney, and I think we're in for some interesting moments, to say the very least.
Well, as you see, just running on board with Moroni, right on cue there, and that was I didn't quite catch you. That was exiting stage left. I think it might have been Kindness. It's definitely one of the Track Scotland cars. And, well, yeah, I mean, what can you say? I think the action just speaking for ourselves out on track. And as you said, Redford has 8 victories so far to his name this season. And ironically, his first win came when we visited Brands earlier on in the season. That was in race 2. Obviously, we ran the 2 race formats during that time, and we were out on the Grand Prix layout of the circuit. However, today it is the 3 race format, so 3 15-minute races. However, we've just got qualifying ongoing at the moment, just over halfway through that. Of course, an open qualifying session. Really, really tough for the drivers out there. Obviously, so many people out on track and on a really short circuit. It's going to be challenging for them to try and find some space. Now, the series, as always, it's sponsored by 3 of our main sponsors here, Apex Racing TV. First off, we've got Virtual Racing School if you're looking to improve on track performance. With 50 plus data packs for road and oval racing, they have setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. And then we've got SDK Gaming, where you can add a live virtual HUD to iRacing show timing towers, and hence relative boxes, mini-maps, fuel calculators, and much, much more. You can utilise it to stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing, and also use it to broadcast your leagues and your series, like we do for all of the races here at Apex Racing TV. And finally, you can use it to adjust your team strategy on the fly with, of course, it's a highly accurate fuel calculator and the most accurate live timing on iRacing. And then finally, we've got Apex Racing Academy. They have 29 data packs with setups, track guides, integration with Virtual Racing School, one of our other sponsors, weekly group coaching sessions, and much, much more. Let's see right now, well, Shirkov, he has got the provisional pole time. However, Redford, I mean, what can we say? The times, literally, I don't think you could fit a cigarette paper between certain drivers, and it's just no different here at Brands Hatch. Once again, Johan, 200ths of a second. The difference between first and second place right now.
I think the only reason that difference is there someone might have had a packet of crisps before the race, and that's kind of rearing its ugly head. But yeah, it's very, very close, and a short lap in, if you look at it. So top qualifying times currently, or the best times that I'm seeing is a 48.352 for Shirokov. That is extremely quick if you consider the fact that I don't even think Knockhill was this quick. So we're definitely going to be going around quite a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a tight challenge indeed, and this circuit is a little bit more open and free-flowing compared to Knockhill, which is probably helping to aid our drivers in terms of setting those quicker times in comparison. But let's just take a little look at the championship standings. Well, Redford, he is just in lead at the moment on 873 points with Eatwell in his Honda, and occupying that second place. Mark Hutchinson has been Mr. Consistent, just quietly going about his business all season. In third place, Smart, he's in fourth with Darius Neidhart in fifth. Igor Shirkov, he's in sixth with Scott Smith in seventh with Dennis Neidhart, who's been, well, majorly helped by his performances last time out at Donington. It's holding him up through the standings into eighth with Maroney, Stuart and Ness rounding out your top 10. And what can we say? You look at the AM standings, Scott Smith leading the way. He has been really, really impressive all season. Likewise for Maroney and Ness behind them. It's still pretty close between all those guys in that top 3 positions. Rafter in fourth, Manners fifth, Rigeri, he's occupying sixth on 570 points. 12 points behind Manners. It's an interesting one. Everything's playful between those two. Maniti seventh, and Kindness in eighth, only 6 points behind Maniti, with Collishaw in ninth, and Clist rounding out your AM field. We've got around about 2.5 minutes left of qualifying, are yet to set times. We've got a few drivers, although a few of them definitely ruining the effects here of having to incur qualifying penalties.
Yeah, so we've got a few drivers starting from the pits. I just need to bring up that little tidbit of information for myself again. So in the first race, it's going to be Belny, Neidhart, specifically Darius Neidhart. Then we've got Darragh Andreessens, Dennis Neidhart as well, so both Neidharts, Greg Hubler, Jake Ward. Unfortunately, I think he got caught up a few times, but if you're guilty, you're guilty. And then Jason Nethery, Jensen Andreessen, so both Andreessens as well. Scott Smith also starting from the pits, so that's going to be a tricky race one for him. And Gadici as well into the pits, so a rough one for the two AM drivers. And then in race 2, it's going to be Darius Neidhart and Jensen Andreessen starting from the pits. And nothing on the books for the race 3, so it's not as busy as we expected last time around. Donington was jam-packed, and if you do have some time and haven't seen the race yet, I do recommend that you go and watch it on Apex Racing TV. Just search for the ARL Touring Car Britain. That should be the correct series, and you can look at all of the races that we've done this season thus far. Well, most of them. And yeah, it's been a very good season, so definitely some racing there. But at the moment, qualifying nearly done, and Shirokov just barely ahead of Redford at the moment. Maroney returning to first in the AM category. I think the last time we saw him perform this well was actually at this very circuit at Brands Hatch. So the circuit definitely one of his favorites. And then down the line, Eatwell also looking at the rear of Redford for the start of the race. And Glaskov in 5th position. So he's going to be looking good as well. So we'll just wait for qualifying to finish off. We've got 10 seconds left. And it's looking good for the race start with all of the usuals up at the front.
Yeah, we've got Hyundai. Look out for the front row as qualifying comes to an end. We also bringing up your grid incredibly shortly for race 1. First of 3 15-minute races here today from Brands Hatch. So Shirkov, he's on pole with Redford alongside him. Well, top of the Hondas, he's got Audi driver and AM driver Maroney alongside him. Watch out for him starting. We know the Audis are quick off the line. Glashkov and Kolashor make up the 3rd row, with Ruggieri and Romy and Wyness and Giltert making up to your top 10 and 5th row of the grid. Then it's Matthew Briggs and Adam Kindness on the 6th row, with Ian Manners and Mike Hutchinson and Ian Manners, an all-English row there. Reftier and Deep Lip is making up on the Italian row, with Brown and Maniti and Morrison and Walsh making up to your 10th row and 20th position. Dennis Neidhart, of course, we're into the drivers with qualifying bands: Jensen Adriansens, Scott Smith, Dara Adriansens in 24th. Then we've got Darius Neidhart, Lewandowski in 26th, Klist and Mark Manus rounding out your grid here at Brands Hatch for the first of the 3 15-minute races. Of course, race results from this race will form the grid. However, for the next race, the top 10 will be inverted. So keep an eye out for the driver who's hovering around 10th place, and sure that we're going to have plenty of battles over those positions. Let's just wait for the last few drivers to take to the grid, and then we'll be heading off here. First race of today. And, well, I think this is going to be a really interesting one. Not necessarily the run down to Paddock Hill, but I think Druids always is a bit of a tricky corner on the opening lap.
Yeah, and we've seen Redford is kind of capable of creating space for his car, especially through a corner like Druids, where if you can just get your nose up on the inside, it's very easy if your opponent just drifts a bit wide to get your nose in and assert your position. But looks like we're ready to go. Take us away, Tim.
Okay, so here comes lights, and let's get ready to go racing at Brands Hatch. We are away. You can see, well, Maroni getting a blinding start there, and the Audi on the outside, but equally on the Honda, just getting up the inside of Redford. The Hyundai's not getting away as clean as possible, and you can see Eatwell in that Honda Street sidebar. He's going to get the inside line into Druids, and expect to see him. Wow, they banged stalls there with Redford, and he's got himself in front. Glashkov coming through the field, and Redford, for probably the first time this season, looking incredibly vulnerable. The Audis didn't get away as quick as what we would normally expect to see them. You see, well, Collishaw making great progress there. The Brit up a place, but he's not getting that place very easily, with Glashkov really fighting it out. But can you believe it? We're coming around to complete one lap already. It is that quick here at Brands Hatch on the Indy layout. Shirkov, he leads from Eatwell. Redford, Maroney, as they look to swap places in that battle for second. Redford goes up the inside and just tucks it up the inside and gets the move done. Has to defend once more from Eatwell. You bet your bottom dollar that Eatwell's going to be desperate to get that place back from these two. The top two in the championship, as there's more door banging going on in the midfield. That's Regari there. There's Stuart Wyness. Audi and the Hyundai. It's all happening here, Johan.
Yeah, blink and it's going to be gone. So just a bit of a sandwich going on there between Regari, Winners and Hutchinson, that green car behind them as well. And Kinders under immense amount of pressure here from Briggs. Briggs, of course, looking for a good opportunity to make it down the straight and see if he can get alongside. But behind them, Manners is fancying his opportunity, so he's positioning himself on the outside, waiting for a late break. Kindness doesn't want to. Oh, and we've got Briggs off into the kitty litter. And
he ran it in incredibly ambitiously there, and went up the inside. And I'm not sure whether he just missed his braking initially, but headed through. And I thought he seemed to be going in a bit too quick, and off he sailed and into the wall. And it's going to take him right down through the order, making good progress. Jay Walsh there, he's already at 3 places. Likewise, the two drivers in front of him equally at 3 places, Benizzi and Morrison. So those guys 15th, 16th, and 17th. We see Di Felipe, so Sakanya trying to find a way around on the outside there, coming around Clark Kerr. Walsh just able to fend him off, and he's going to use all that straight line speed that the Honda Civic Type R possesses to try and pull away. Down the start-finish straight, but Di Felipe is sucked up in the slipstream, pulls out, and is going to try and get ahead. But you see, Walsh, she's really hanging in on the outside there, isn't he, Johan?
yeah, he's just been absolutely tenacious throughout the lap. Going for the bit of a switchback. Is he going to have the exit? No, he's vulnerable. So Neidhart behind him is going to have a bit of a sniff at the rear of the car, and there, very slow exit out of Graham Hill Bend. So that's going to be Neidhart pulling alongside him. Is he going to have the speed to overtake him in through Surtees and Clark Curve? It's just one hell of a corner, and you can see Neidhart very easily getting past Walsh. Walsh again under pressure from Andreessen's behind him, so they're going to be side by side going down the straight. Things not going exactly how Walsh would have wanted it to. Andreessen's, of course, starting from the pit, so he's on a fight back. One of the faster drivers coming through. I'm just going to point out, and this is kind of what I love about the interval times that you normally get. I heard a bit of a bang there. Might have been some contact, but yeah, you can see the gaps between drivers, and anything that's not in white, that's under a second. So all of these drivers are just within touching distance of one another. So they really need to be careful about how they pick their braking zones, how they defend, and where they attack, because if you attack too quickly, you might be putting yourself under pressure. Collishaw looking at the rear of Glashkov here, looking for any kind of opportunity. Glashkov feeling the roughness of the curbs there all over the place as he goes very aggressively onto the, well, defensively on the inside. Still stays ahead of Collishaw. Collishaw biding his time, looking for another mistake. Went very early braking there from Glashkov. It's normally a bit faster through there. So a bit of mind tricks going there, trying to catch Collishaw off his guard. So heavy fighting between them, and Romy is, we can't see him at the moment, but he's 3/10 behind him. So Collishaw is also painfully aware. There you can see the car of Romy just looming in the background. So they're, again, one lap done just like that.
Yes, indeed, and we're already out onto the 6th lap. Shirkov setting a new fastest lap of the race. Well, 48.3. That's quicker than anyone so far. As you can see, Collishaw just runs in a little bit deep there. Just a bit of a lock-up on corner entry. As Romy tries to find a way past, currently in an Audi, the Hyundai meeting an Audi sandwich right now as they came around Green Hill Bend, down Cooper Straight and into Surtees. You see, that is Will Eatwell, and I tell you what, he's dropped right off the back of Redford. Gap out to around about 1.4 seconds, and now Maroney, the AM driver, is swarming all over the back of Eatwell. Desperate for that place inside the top 3 overall. Leader in AM, Collishaw second in AM, he's 6th place. You see him just in the distance, he's not far behind. Likewise for Gary as well. They're in AM right now, 8th overall. But Eatwell really feeling the pressure, and I know the Honda isn't too good over the curves, but even so, seems to be not well suited to this short Indy circuit.
Yeah, it does seem like the car is struggling quite a bit. You spoke about the gap opening up between Redford and Eatwell. There was a mention earlier about Eatwell actually racing here in the real life. So it's always interesting when the drivers have actually visited the track in person, have raced on it. It makes for a bit of a different driving experience if you've got that information in hand, and then you can see the man himself. They checked out in 2nd position. Shirokov 1.2 seconds up the road. It's going to be a tough ask for Redford to get up to it, but we have seen great things from this man. But Shirokov, of course, also a very strong driver in his own right. One other small little bit of information. Tonight we've got 16 AM drivers versus the 12 pro drivers. So it's a bit more white in the field than we're usually used to, and they are definitely giving it their all. Of course, Maroney in that 4th position, right on the rear of Eatwell. Collishaw also up in 6th, doing a superb job of keeping his position as well.
You can see, wow, that is Regari. Oh, not the best of rejoins at all there. Kindness, well, he had nowhere to go. Up at Druids and Clout straight into the Italian. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You can see here exactly how it all unfolded. Regari. Did they get a bit late? No, he didn't do it by himself. A tap there. That's what caused him to flick the about to be sideways through Druids. And well, this is another replay. This is Maroney and Eatwell. So Maroney bouncing across the curbs and just unsettling the Audi RS3, and he's out through the gravel. That's cost him a few places, so he's gone from 4th place. Glashkov, Collishaw, Romy, and Wyness all getting through, so he's down 4 places into 8th right now. You can see him sandwiched in right now between, he's got Stuart Wyness in that Trek Scotland Hyundai in front of him, and Evo SR driver in another of the Hyundais right behind him. That's Mark Hutchinson, 9th place. But Collishaw, it's all happening about the Hyundais right now as Collishaw's got Romy right behind him as they come into Paddock Hill Bend onto lap 11. We've got just over 5.5 minutes left remaining in race 1. And it feels like it's closer than it's ever been. As you were saying earlier, Johan, tenths of a second, literally only a couple of tenths a lot of the time. It's all that separates all of our drivers.
Yeah, it's so difficult to actually race under these conditions because one small mistake, like we saw from Maroney, and you lose 4 to 5 positions. So the amount of concentration that's required for this track, even though it's fewer corners, even though you've been able to practice these a lot more than you would usually be able to, the level of concentration and level of performance that you need is just absolutely through the roof. So if you're doing well here, it's definitely because you practiced and you've got that mental fortitude. Roby right on the rear of Collishaw, and we were talking about being mental. I was mentioning about being mentally strong here, and it's so much pressure that you need to absorb. Collishaw, you can see they're just stepping the rear of the car out a bit as he's trying to push it. He's got Glashkov in front of him as well, so it's really tricky to actually build up momentum and get past when you're that close. But they're going to go down the main straight on the run down to Paddock Hill Bend, and yet again you can see there Glashkov just moving around, breaking the toe a little bit if he can, and then down through Pilgrim's Rise and up towards Druid. A bit of a poor exit for Collishaw, so he's down a few tenths, but again just gains it back pretty quickly.
It does indeed, and we're just seeing Glashkov now just dropping off a bit off the back of well, he's running. In fact, he was right up onto the tail, and well, definitely doesn't seem to be his day right now. So that gap between himself and Redford out to 3 seconds as we see a move here. It's over 12 places. Atchison's just getting, let's see, Jensen. Atchison's just getting his way past Adam Kindness, the AM driver, currently 13th overall and 5th in class right now. So they come across the start-finish line out onto lap 14. So he's trying to get that place back, but he's a bit too far back to be thinking about a move there into Paddock Hill Bend. But this is where it gets so tricky, Johan, isn't it? Because as much as he's on the attack, he needs to be careful, because look who's Luba, as so many of the drivers in these so similar battles. Manners, in this case, is tucked up right behind Kindness, and you can see just one tiny little mistake there from Kindness has really not even, then Anderson's has managed to head off up the road as they head through Surtees, and you can see the difference of line there, where Kindness taking the much shallower defensive line, and Manners taking a more swooping entry, trying to get to the late apex and carry as much speed out onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah, and it's the difference in styles that also makes this very difficult, because if you're stronger in a certain part of the circuit, that only counts for 2 corners, and then it kind of gets negated immediately afterwards. So the only thing you can hope for is either a severe advantage in pace or a mistake from your opponent. And speaking of mistakes, Kindness running very wide there through Graham Hill Bend, loses out the position to Manners, and now has Gill for company as well behind him.
See, so there's that mistake there. You said about it earlier, Johan, and Manners taking full advantage there of Kindness's mistake. So that's got himself up into 13th place, and Gill, wow, he's now, it's like they're forming an orderly queue at the moment, trying to gang up on Kindness, and you see a bit of damage to the rear right corner of that Honda Civic Type R of Kindness, and Gill, I just have to wonder if, I wouldn't have thought it was affecting him too much, but just lacking a little bit of confidence to Scott.
Yeah, and I need to mention one thing. I don't think these guys are really good friends after what happened in Alton Park. So, of course, a big second race collision between Manners, a whole bunch of other cars. Kindness was unfortunately a bystander there as well. Dario Andreassen's actually doing well considering where he started from. So gaining 8 positions, and right behind Gill as well. So, well, I say right behind, there's a few seconds. But if these guys keep fighting, or there's some kind of contact, big if, he might be able to make it. Then his namesake, Dario Andreassen's also in 16th. Sorry, I might have jumped between Jensen and yes. But we're going to go for the last lap with Shirokov leading out in front, and he's just absolutely checked out. Absolutely stellar drive from the man. What do you think, Tim?
But it's the fact of just how little you mention someone who's in the lead. You know that they're out and commanding the race like Sherkov has in race 1. Hyundai driver, it's only got 2 more corners left. There's one of them through 30s, bounce across the curves. Taking a long swooping late apex of a curve through Clark. And now just to come across the line, he's going to take the victory here in race 1 with undoubtedly a flash of the lights. There they are. He takes the checkered flag for victory here. Redford, he's going to cross the line in second to make it a Hyundai 1-2. And Eatwell, he's going to pick up that last place on the podium. Collishaw, winner in Winus, second in and Maroney comes across the line after what looked like for a challenge for the podium overall. That's the settle for 9th place and 3rd in class. But I tell you what, they're fighting right to the very bitter last corner here as Walsh and Lewandowski side by side, and Walsh just gets it in ahead. Actually, Walsh isn't at the best at times. He's dropped a few places during the race. Lewandowski making up 3. And Walsh is going to hold on to that 22nd place there.
Yeah. I think they're going to be happy that this one is done. So
Well, we get to do it all over again now for another 15 minutes of fun, excitement, and action. And actually, that was interesting. That was only Sherkov's second victory of the season. His first victory coming all the way back in race 3 at round 1 at Silverstone. So well overdue for him. And Redford comes home in 2nd place with Eatwell in 3rd. Glashkov, he picks up 4th with Romy 5th. Collishaw 6th. Winess 7th. Hutchison 8th. Maroney 9th. Dennis Neidhart 10th. And he's going to take pole, obviously the top 10 inverted to form the grid for race 2. Raffaele Adjusons, Manners, Kindness, Gill, Dara Adjuson 16th. Then with Smith, Darius Neidhart, Maniti, and Di Filipis up to 20th, then Brown, Walsh, Lewandowski, Cliss 1 lap down, Regeri, Morrison's, Briggs, who lost 17 laps ago, McManus, who didn't make it past the first lap, and here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing in race 2 from Brands Hatch, and the lights are out, and we are off once more. And as you see, it's an absolutely swarming start by the Audis there. Really getting off the line. We know that they can start fast and really showing it here. Romy up 2 places already. And likewise, Glashkov and the other Audi, he's up a couple as well. As you see, Collishaw just runs in deep there. That's not going to help him at all, but it's going to give him the inside line here into the next corner. Graham Hill bend. And you can see Eatwell, he's queued up right behind him, and so is Redford. And then it's Stuart Winess, and then Sherkov, who hasn't got the best of starts. Likewise, Winess just ahead of him. Not at all as Eatwell heads up the inside, and Collishaw there gets his elbows out just to push his way through. And Redford has to sit back in behind the fellow Hyundai Elantra of Collishaw to try and get some momentum, get some speed. But it looks like he's going to have to settle in here. And a great start from Eatwell there to position Collishaw between himself and Redford.
yeah, and I think Eatwell's also been utilizing Collishaw to some extent to keep Redford behind. Of course, that advantage not lasting through Druids. Out of nowhere, Collishaw just comes back through Graham Hill Bend. So he is still in this fight, and he's giving Redford quite a bit of a headache. So very bold driving there from the AM driver. Good start for all of them, but it's going to be a rush to get through the pack, and especially now with the reverse grid and a lack of overtaking opportunities. Ian Manners into the pits. Can't see visible damage. I'm not exactly sure why he's had to head in. Walsh, unfortunately, again under pressure, so he's got Maniti and Di Filipis behind him. It's a bit of a slow line there, so he's going to be very vulnerable heading into Druids here. There you can see Maniti up on the inside. Walsh is not going to have a response for that, and he's going to be stuck on the outside. Slightly side by side, he might be able to do it on the brakes through Graham Hill Bend, but you can see him visibly backing out there. So he was very scared of a collision there. I think he just wants to get through with a clean race. Behind him as well, Morrison, Di Filipis, Andreasen's Morrison must have. So D. Philip is losing 2 positions in a few corners there. We saw Andreassen's just get past him there. Andreassen's on the hunt as well. Briggs, unfortunately, heading into the Kitty-Lissa on the first race. He's going to look for redemption here as he battles it out with D. Philip is on the outside. Is he going to be able to do it on the brakes? No, he does not. So on the run up to Druids, and it's all gone very badly in that last lap for D. Philippus.
Well, they're talking about going badly. It's Walsh. He's got a queue of Hyundai tucked up right behind him, trying to find a way past, and now they're squabbling amongst themselves. Let's talk about Hyundais. It's happening up near the front here. We've got cars absolutely everywhere. Well, still ahead of Collis Short. Redford still stopped behind. Then it's Glashkov making progress in the Audi with Wynes, Shirkov and Smith all in this train right now. And Redford not finding it easy to make his way past the fellow Hyundai Elantra. And you can see Eatwell trying to make progress there against fellow Honda driver. This was one of the back markers, I think, in fact. Coming through. Oh, that's D. Felipis. He's had he was locked into that midfield battle that was incredibly close, and clearly it's been further contacts. He's come off worse, and see Wynes, he's off the track as well. This replay will give us some clues. So as they come down through Paddock Hill Bend, well, it's already happening in front. Oh, and there's a big incident. Briggs caught up with Darius Neidhart. D. Felipis in the middle, and he comes off worse there. It's so unlucky.
I think that was also Morrison. That was the blue and red car going off on the left-hand side as they were going down Paddock Hill Bend. But it's so difficult when there's that many cars losing control around you. Ooh, and the juicy little overtake there from Andreas is just sneaking it into the background. Just getting past Beniti there, and he's been fighting throughout the pack. It's been a difficult evening for him, so on our boards 3 positions lost, so he'll still be battling out Beniti in 16th, and a bit alone at the moment. Checked out in front is going to be Dennis Neidhart, so he is in a very comfortable position. All the chaos behind him really has helped him. So Hutchinson is kind of keeping up a gaggle of cars there. You just see them coming around the corner with quite the intent. This is definitely going well for Neidhart. He's been able to just focus on his lines, focus on his exits, and he's opened up that gap to 4 seconds on such a short lap.
It's cracking stuff, and clearly inspired by his victory in race 3 last time out at Donington, and pushing ahead in the Audi RS3 to try and secure another victory to his name this season. But right now, Hutchinson, he's high, he's second, he's already up 1 place as a Northern Irish driver. If he could hold on to that, I believe that'd be his first podium of the season so far. It's very well, I would say it's an orderly queue, but it's an orderly queue for now. We know in this championship people like to get their elbows out, and should only be time before they do. Hutchinson is being desperate to hold on to this place, but everything you do, we're only just over a third of the way through race 2, apologies, and got a long way to try and hold on, to try and fend off for the advances of Moroni right behind. He's trying to find every which way past against the Evo SR driver in the Honda Elantra just in front of us. So we're right on board with Moroni right now. It's the AM driver, currently 3rd overall. Been desperate to get up into 2nd overall. Because the highest we've had for a finish for an AM driver was 3rd. Went to Wynes. Funnily enough, it was last time out at Donington. Race 3, and Moroni right now will be desperate to go 1 better than his fellow AM driver. Finish in 2nd. So they come through Clark Curve now. Who's going to get the best exit, the best slingshot? Well, Moroni just doesn't feel like he has an answer for Hutchinson's right now.
Yeah, and it's tricky. You can see all the cars lined up behind him. He really needs to be confident about where he makes this move, because if he loses out, Romy, Eatwell, and Redford are going to be there to pick up the pieces. And Romy actually looking very close there to Maroney. That's not confusing at all. And behind them, Eatwell and Redford duking it out.
Contact. There was
and
contact there between Redford was trying to find a way round the outside, and he gave him the bit of a nudge where he was trying to take the racing line, and classic touring car action. It's to head off track, and he's fallen all the way down to ninth. Now currently behind Glashkov and Sherkov, who Sherkov won race one, and Redford all the work to do now with just over half race distance completed.
Yeah, he's not going to enjoy that tonight. I can't think that he's going to be happy about the fact that he's going to have to overtake Colishaw again. It took him such a long while to get past the AM driver. And you can see here, he's just tucked under the rear of Glasgow. He wants to get past so badly, but he can't rush it. If he makes another mistake, he's just going to fall down the order even more. So it's tricky when he's got the pace advantage, but Glashkov just making that car as wide as he possibly can, and not doing anything dirty. He's just driving a solid defensive line, and Redford does not have the answer for it. So down the main straight they go. Redford is going to have to think about where he can do this under braking perhaps. We know he's very strong through Druids, so good exit for him through Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to have the speed advantage inside line for Glashkov, and Redford trying to make the drive work around the outside. Doesn't get the speed, but now he's got the inside line for Graham Hill Bend, and he's going to just sign that contract and send it as he gets past. So Glashkov keeping up well, but unfortunately not able to hold on in front of the experienced driver. So a bit of a work ahead for Redford in the rest of the pack as he goes on ahead, but Maroney sitting pretty in third. Romy right behind him. You can just see from second all the way back, the cars are just lined up. So Maroney very painfully aware of that yellow Honda that's looming behind him. And Romy, of course, also a very strong driver, but Eatwell is a man on a mission at the moment. Hutchinson, he's done well to keep that second position and absorb the pressure.
We've got around about 1.2 seconds covering second all the way down to sixth. You see just how close they are out on track. All bumper to bumper, nose to tail, and Hutchinson still holding on. He's got 4.5 minutes left in race two to cling on to that second place, and right now he's making the Hyundai about as wide as he possibly can. Maroney just doesn't seem to have an answer. Can't seem to find a way just to get that launch off the corner, that edge of pace that he needs to bring the Audi alongside the Hyundai and get the move done. Equally, he needs to be incredibly careful, because if he gets it wrong, Romy there, and you bet your bottom dollar he'll be wanting to take advantage, and likewise with Eatwell queued up behind him. And then Colishaw at the back of this pack. We've got Glashkov Sherkov starting to close up as Eatwell runs it in deep. A flash of the lights there. He's not overly impressed with Romy right now, and Colishaw, they're closing incredibly close up onto him. The concertina effect happening right in front of your eyes, and Sherkov is going to be onto the back of these guys within a couple of laps. It sounds a lot, but 48 seconds, 49 seconds a lap, it does not take long at all, and Eatwell having to defend from Colishaw. I'll tell you what, that Honda really does look out of sorts here. It doesn't look like it's happy. I mean, none of the Honda drivers seem to be having the best of times out there.
Yeah, so for me, I think the big culprit here is going to be Graham Hill Bend. You really want to see if you can send it across the curb as much as possible. And with the Honda kind of being a bit of a pogo stick as they go across the curbs, it's going to be to his detriment. Now, Hutchinson, he's done a very good job. He had a bit of pressure from Maroney in the previous lap as things opened up with Romy and Eatwell kind of battling it out. But now, Hutchinson it does feel like he's opening up that gap a little bit more, even if it's just slightly, as Maroney's attention is being focused to Romy behind him. So we've returned to the 3/10 gap between Maroney and Romy. And we're waiting for the first one to flinch.
Best way to describe it, we've got just 2 minutes remaining here in race 2, and still practically float a blanket over all of these drivers. But now they've got Shirkov in with the fight. It's going to be 2 laps. Well, I think he's been just under that, and he is right up onto the back of Collishaw. The fireworks to start happening, of course. In race 2, we've got an inverted grid once more. However, it's the top 8 positions that will be inverted. But right now, Redford, he's going to be taking pole position. And that could, well, be interesting and play to his advantage. I mean, he's got a big old gap, around about 2.5 seconds to Shirkov up the road, and the clock fully ticking down. Around about 2.25 minutes remaining in race 2. It looks like it could be done and dusted for Redford. Probably best just to hold on to the 8th place, so guaranteeing himself a pole. Although we do know Redford, he won't be expecting that, as we see it down in the midfield here. Walsh, he's having a right old battle here with Ruggieri. So all over one another. They've got Clist in the Honda just in the background. Once the Honda's ganging up on another driver as opposed to us. Walsh runs in too deep, and that's going to give Ruggieri the position. As Walsh tries to hold on around the outside, but it's too late. And that is Ruggieri through. The opportunistic move there from the Italian in the Audi. He's at 6 places so far. It's only Morrison who's up more places. He's up 8 places, and he's currently in an 18th right now. We're out on to just looking at where the drivers now. So Dennis Nighthouse just come around to complete his lap. So with 15 seconds remaining on the clock, the white flag flies. There it is. He's going to come out on top in this little battle. Well, I say little, they've been nose to tail for pretty much the entire race. Hutchinson, not long left to hold on. 4 tenths the advantage over Maroney, the AM driver, currently in 3rd position overall. As we ride on board with Eatwell, that is Romy ahead of us. Then you've got Maroney, and then you can just see Hutchinson there. However, right behind us is Collishaw and Shirkov. Desperate to try and find a way past. You see everyone just remaining as they are, just trying to keep their car as wide as possible. Not want his giveaway position, but Dennis Neihart, he's going to take the victory, as he did in race 2, last time out in Donington. And Hutchinson's going to hold on for this first time on the podium. Maroney, the AM driver, he's managed to find his way onto the podium as well. A great drive from those 2.
Yeah, absolutely superb drive. I mean, the consistency that you saw from those drivers was just on point all the way. Battle here with Morrison and Ruggieri. Morrison on the outside, Ruggieri is going to be on the inside. Does he have the edge to be the first across the line? From my vantage, there's look at behind them, you can see Walsh and Clist also duking out. That's a bit of a dangerous spot to stop it. I'm thinking they might have wanted to do a bit of a cool down lap. But yeah, so Walsh in the end actually gaining 2 positions.
That's crazy stuff here. And we've still got 1 race left remaining. Let's just move across into the next session. We've got a 5-minute warm now. Let's just take you through your results here for race 2. Dennis Neihart with a victory. 7 seconds in the end, which is a big old margin around this track. Even Mark Hutchinson for his first time on the podium. Maroney, as we mentioned, the AM driver, finding his way onto the podium overall. Great drive from him, and the winner in AM. Romy and Eatwell 4th and 5th, with Collishaw 6th overall, 2nd in AM. Shirkov getting past Redford there, who finishes 8, and he will be taking pole with the top 8 inverted for race 3. We've got Glashkov in 9th, Scott Smith 3rd in AM, 10th overall. Raffatea Wyness, Jensen Adjinson's in 13th, Kindness Gill, Dara Adjinson's, Maniti Ruggieri, Morrison and Walsh rounding out your top 20. Then it's Clist, Darius Neidhart not having the best of races, likewise De Filipis. So his contact there just dropping down through the field. Lewandowski 24th, Briggs 25th with Manners. Brown 1 lap down, and McManus, who didn't make the start. But well, we're just going to head into a quick commercial break now, and we'll see you on the other side for race 3.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back, and you join us for not only the third race of today, but also the final race of the season of what's been an it's been absolutely epic, hasn't it, Johan? We've seen so much drama, we've had so much excitement, overtakes, magical moments. It's hard to know where to begin and try and pick one out, and we're only 1 minute away from, well, as we were saying just during the break there, while the advert was on, almost a bit sad, this is coming to an end because it's been such a amazing championship.
Yeah, I've just thoroughly enjoyed every single minute of it. If I can go back and just commentate the thing from the start all over again, I would. It's really had its moments and ups and downs. It's really going to be sad to see these guys go. It really makes you kind of miss league racing when you're just used to the normal weekly grind of iRacing. So it's bittersweet, but we'll definitely enjoy this last hurrah before the end of the season.
We know that the ARLs always come out in race 3 when we're running the 3 race format. Of course, when we run the 2 race format, the ARLs come out in race 2. However, literally seconds away now. We'll be heading across to the grid and be able to take you through how they're going to line up for the final time this season. Well, it's going to be, I'm surely, some absolute epic racing. And Redford, he's on pole with Shirkov for company. There's Sean Eatwell making up an all-British row with an all-Italian third row, Romy and Maroney. Hutchison, he's down to 7th, and Darius Neidhart is going to start in 8th. Glashgoff and Smith take it to 10th with all Ambro in 11th, 12th of Ruffsier and Wyness. And then we've got Kindness and Gill, Atchison's and Maniti and Ruggieri take it to 18th. Morrison and Walsh, Clist and Darius Neidhart, De Filipis, Lewandowski, Briggs and Manners, Scott Brown and McManus to round out your grid here for the final time this season. Wow. It's time to take a deep breath. Let's get ready to go racing here at Brands Hatch in the Apex Racing League British Touring Car Series, and we are away for the final time, and Redford leads us away up the hill and through Paddock Hill Bend. And get ready for some excitement. As you can see there, Collishaw and Sherkov side by side. Collishaw up the inside. He's been reinvigorated as the season has gone on, and Eatwell just trying to find a way through there past Sherkov, trying to follow Collishaw through. You can't really miss him, that orange and white Hyundai, but Eatwell not quite able to do it in the Honda. This is right now, we've got a top 3 lockout by the Hyundais. And driver Collishaw in second, but still an incredibly long way left to go here in race 3. And Eatwell under attack right now from Dennis Neidhart. As you see, Collishaw just having to move out the outside. Sherkov trying to find a way up the inside now into Paddock Hill Bend. Eatwell trying to follow him through as they come down the hill. And in space of 1 corner, Collishaw loses 2 places. Maybe even 3 as Dennis Neidhart looks to find a way through. And he's really offline now, Collishaw. Wow, he had to slam the door shut there to prevent losing any more places.
Yeah, I think he might have been caught off guard with Eatwell's car losing connection there for a split second. He had to back out to avoid the collision. That's Morrison off the track. That happened at Graham Hill Bend. So unfortunately, some contact there, I would assume.
It's got to be. I'm trying to spot. Well, it can't have been too heavy a contact because no real damage on Scotland driver's car. Let's take a look. So that's. Oh wow! As they came back across, just tagged him in the rear. That was. I think that was. Yeah, it was Darius Neidhart. That was. He had contact with. Then went on to try and get the move turn on Walsh's. See Tifa Lepis trying to find his way past Walsh here around the outside. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, but if he can hold it in there, it's going to give him the inside line now into Graham Hill Bend. And wow, Manners says thank you very much. I'll have a bit of that gap as well. And just sneaks it up the inside of Walsh.
Yeah, I think Walsh had to be quite hard on the brakes with the car in front of him, but it's been a bit of a tricky track for him, maybe not his favorite, but he's out there, he's fighting, and you can see he's trying to keep it clean. It's just one of those things that if you try and drive cleanly, sometimes that is going to be to your detriment. And they, as you can see, Manners right behind him, looking for an opportunity, looking for a weakness from Walsh, and it looks very inviting as he goes up the inside for Druids, gets the pull alongside. Is he going to be? Yes, he is ahead as they go through the exit of Druids. So Manners getting the position on Walsh there and pulling ahead. Glashkov leading an angry group, of course. Scott Smith behind him. Scott Smith to the wide line. So the Andreassens, both of them are going to try and sneak up the inside. Scott is still stuck there on the outside, offline. He can't fall back. It's Andreassens, and Wines opting to go behind Smith. Interesting decision as the Andreassens get past, and now Wines looking for a possible opportunity on the inside. Smith gets pushed wide, and Wines' gamble has paid off as he's alongside with Smith and battling it out as they go through Graham Hill Bend. Smith holding on for dear life. A bit of a wider line there on the exit, but good speed. His attention still focused though, as Wines is ever looming there in his review mirror.
Got Smith trying to do his best to defend from Stuart Wines right now. He's just loitering in the background. Yes, and Dara actually says, oh, is that Steve Brown in the Honda Civic Type R? He is. Well, yeah, there we go. He's pointing in the wrong direction. I think that is at 30s. Yes, it is. There we go. I'm not too sure what has happened for him to arrive there, but well off the pace as we now see. Well, Jensen Atchison on the attack there, trying to find his way past Glashkov to get himself inside the top 10. He's on the track and a bit more there. Bit of the grass on corner entry. Well, he's got Dara Atchison right behind him. They try and find a way past Glazkov, and probably a bit of guarding in that. Well, they don't even need to, as Glazkov runs into the slams on the accelerator, brings the front end round to the rear end, rotated all the way past, trying to catch up with the front end, and looks like he's going to lose another place right now as Gil gets round the outside, or does he? As he drifts wide and understeers out, and that's going to allow Glazkov just to reclaim that place. That was hanging out there by Gil in spectacular style.
It doesn't feel like the touring cars to be this unstable, but lots of rears letting go there through Clark Curve at the end of the lap. Gil here looking at the rear of Glazkov, so if there's another mistake, Glazkov is going to be in trouble yet again. Oh, there's another drift from Gil. Neidhart getting past him. I'm not sure what it is about Clark Curve, but something is throwing a lot of drivers for a bit of a loop as they go drifting towards the outside. And now behind them, Maniti and Ruggeri looking for opportunity on Gil if they can possibly do it. Ruggeri absolutely sending it down Paddock Hill Bend, really utilizing the curb there and seeing what he can do against Maniti, but it's still all of them in line, and one of those tricky things where you're just waiting for someone to fall out of line. You can't really step out yourself.
And interestingly, you see the track temperatures up on the right-hand side of the screen. So 26 degrees Celsius track temperatures. Redford leads from Sherkov. So track temperature has come down by a couple of degrees since we started. Of course, 5:15 local time here, Brands Hatch. 22 degrees ambient air temperature, and there's a little bit more grip available to the drivers, but weirdly, like you were saying there, Johan, seem to be struggling for it through Clark Curve, but Redford is in a commanding position. Sherkov keeping hold of his coattails for now. 7 minutes complete. We're just coming up to half race distance. Redford leads from Sherkov. Dennis Neidhart in third, with Eatwell fourth. Collishaw leader in now, fifth overall. Romy sixth. Maroney 7th overall. Second in Hutchinson, the driver who finished second in the last race. He's in 8th right now, with third in class Raffatea behind him. And then last driver inside the top 10 is Jensen Adriansons. Tough and Dara just finding a way past Scott Smith there and looking to climb up through the order some more. Clearly a bit of working together as we see Eatwell once again. That Honda just really doesn't seem to like the track here at Brands Hatch in these Indy format. Really struggling. The Hyundai is a really good all-rounder, isn't it, Johan? That's just what's playing to its advantage, because we know the Hondas aren't too good over the curbs, and especially through this last section. This is where Eatwell seems to be really struggling.
Yeah, and I mean the exits are going to be very important, but it just doesn't look like he's as aggressive on the curbs and the track limits as he would usually be. So something tells me he's not entirely comfortable with where the limit of the car is. You can just see the entire rear of the car lifting up as he kind of mounts the curb there at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend, so through Pilgrim's Rise. So he's not comfortable. And now look at him as he goes through Graham Hill Bend. Look at his utilization of the curb. It looks fairly calm, although I think Collishaw kind of taking the wider line there. But Eatwell not looking as comfortable with the limits of his car as he would usually be. It seems like it's just been a bit of a tricky drive for all of the touring cars in general, but the Hondas, again, we know Eatwell can really work with that car in his hand, so something is just not as easy as it usually, well, as comfortable as it would usually be. But yeah, look there. Again, lots of bouncing.
Definitely seems to be moving around on the Civic type paths. Eatwell as you see, we're going to have free wide on the exit. Hutchinson sensing an opportunity as Maroney and Romy ran it in deep as they were trying to find a way past each other. So just getting past Romy though. He's got himself up to 7th, and well, you see the flash of lights from Romy. Not overly impressed, but well, you're flashing at the wrong person realistically there. Hutchinson saw the opportunity and He opened up in front of him and took full advantage of it. More with his fellow countryman Roney. He's already second in 6 overall in front of this free kart train. You can see Rafatea and Jensen Adrian just coming back. Dara Adrian, interesting, he's dropped back a little bit. He's had some sort of mistake because Smith has got past him, as we see Jensen just in the background there, heading up the inside of Rafatea, who holds on with his Audi all the way round the outside because he knows if he could do that, it gives him the inside into Graham Hill Bend. But wow, it's the story and the tale of the switchbacks here as Jensen Adrian gets the move done once more and finally gets this car into a position where he can keep hold of that 9th place. With switchback after switchback there.
Yeah, it was just absolutely tactical racing there at the end of the lap. So 4.25 minutes left in this race, and it's starting to tighten up again. During the mid portion of the race, the cars were spreading around a bit. Hutchinson is under a lot of pressure from Romy here, as Romy looks there at the rear. Maroney in front of Hutchinson. Why do these two drivers keep sticking together? But yeah, Maroney, Hutchinson, and Romy. I just think that Hutchinson wants to Romy out of there. If you excuse the bad pun, but definitely, again, difficult situation for Hutchinson. He needs to avoid Maroney in front of him as he has the heavy braking. But then Romy looking good here with the draft. He's got a bit of an overspeed on him as he jinxes out onto the outside. Is he going to be able to do it under braking? Doesn't seem as confident, but now looking at the exit on the run up to Druids. Defensive line from Hutchinson on the inside. Romy on the outside. Goes for a bit of a switchback. It looks like it gets held up on the apex. And Hutchinson, some superb defensive driving, but you can see Maroney getting away as his attention is focused to his rear.
Unable, he sees try as he might, can't find a way past Hutchinson, who's once again, he knew how to defend around here. We saw it in the race 2 where himself up into 2nd place and remained there. A convincing start, and once again Hutchinson showing how to defend here. Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. You see those glowing rear brakes, and actually now it's close up to Maroney ahead of them as well in that golden black AM car. You can see the denotation of the blue AM across the windscreen there. Obviously the pros of the red and the white lettering just across the top of their windscreen as well. Hutchinson and Maroney both from the AM Pro category. Chase down AM driver Maroney. I mean, South and Collishaw, great result from those two. 5th and 6th overall, 2nd in, 1st and 2nd in class. Bit of a lock-up. There might have been someone in the distance. That puff of smoke that the drivers arrived through, but bump drafting going on here as Romy still desperate to find a way past Hutchinson. Just going to bring his car alongside. Maybe look for the cutback as they come down through Paddock Hill Bend. What sort of exit is Romy going to get? Is he going to get the overspeed? Hutchinson knows about it. Already covers that one off. Heads straight to the inside, but needs to be careful because if Romy can hold on, which he's trying to with all his might, but just can't hold on as he got onto the grass. And I'm not too sure who that was, who he just whistled past and was on the grass there, one of the drivers. And, well, Hutchinson still holds on from Romy, but well, he's right behind them. It's Jensen Adrian who's closed this gap right up, and now he wants the piece of the action.
Yeah, so that's that battle pushing them right into the reticule of Andreasen's. And Romy again looking for some faster exits. Rafatea with an angry gaggle of cars behind him, so it's Rafatea, Smith, Andreasen's winners almost through wide, okay, too wide through Druids. And again, as you said, almost bump drafting. As Glashkov looks at the rear there of winners, lots of action going around in that entire string of cars. So all 5 of them very close together. Only one mistake, and okay,
You say about only one mistake. Anderson's getting the move there on Romy there with a bit of a bump and a bit of a barge to force it, but the white flag flies for the final time this season. 1 lap left of the race, and of the round, and of the championship. And Redford, 8 attempts clear of Shirkov in second place, but so many places undecided. It comes right down to the wire. Leave nothing on the table now in the final race of the season. Sure, Wyness, he knows that. He's trying to find a way past Dara Adrianson. You see Glashkov stuck at the tail of this little group here. But Redford, he's going to come across the line to claim what is, I think it's his 9th victory this season with a weave. And that last race of the season, Shirkov, he picks up his second time on the podium this evening. It's like winning race 1. And there you can see Collishaw. He's got the win in AM. With Moroni second in 6 overall. Raffatea gets that last position on the podium, but Walsh, well, it's happening right to the line. Klist, Walsh, Lewandowski. I'm sorry, Kindness, apologies, just in the background there. All having a right go at one another. The 300 drivers fighting it right out to the death. Wanted to claim position over one another, and Walsh looking vulnerable as we're going to come across the line. Could he lose a place here potentially to Kindness? But no, he just manages to hold off there. Wow, right to the line, right to the very last second of the championship.
Yeah, that's the way they want to end it. All the way, full throttle, just giving it your all. And here we've got World Redford. Is he going to give us some victory donuts? I think that we might have just missed the burnout, but he is going to be incredibly happy with his victory, and a very strong season for him overall.
Has been indeed, and wow, he's been so commanding. Let's just take you through your results for race 3, the final race of the season, to confirm things. Redford taking your victory here with Shirkov in second place. Dennis Neidhart getting the last podium position overall. And then we've got Will Eatwell. A bit of a disappointing performance for him here today. Plan just not seeming to work too well for him. 4th in a race 3 with Paul Collishaw, 5th overall, and your winner in AM with 2nd in AM behind him, and 6th overall it's Moroni. Mark Hutchison comes home 7th with Jensen Adrison making good progress there. He's at 5 places into 8th. Romy 9th, and Raffatea rounds out your top 10 and picks up that last place on the podium in Scott Smith is in 11th with Dara Atchison 12th. Wyness Glashkov, Darius Neidhart takes you up to 15th with Gil, Ruggieri, Maniti and Briggs taking up to 20th place. Then we've got De Filipis with Klist, Lewandowski and Walsh finishing. The last drivers to finish on the lead lap, taking up to 24th with Adam Kindness 1 lap down in 25th. Steve Brown, of course, a few incidents. He was 2 laps down on 26th. Morrison retiring the car 5 laps ago, and McManus unfortunately did not make the start. Wow. Let's have a... I'll tell you what, should we have a bit of a chat with... He is not only your race winner here for the final race of the season, but also, if in doubt, just fully securing the championship. We're now joined by Will Redford. Wow. Congratulations. What is at time like a really dominant display this season.
Yeah, thank you. I have tried my best throughout the season to both avoid penalties and take wins. Obviously, this round I didn't really need to push for anything. All I had to do was finish all 3 races. So I was being a bit passive in race 2, especially when there's a big pack in front. And race 1 I wasn't pushing all the way, so I didn't end up catching Igor. But overall, it was a great season.
It has been, and we've seen so many magical photos from you. But you're saying, obviously, it's, really on one of the shortest tracks that we visited this season. It looked like it was quite challenging out there to overtake, and there were lots of niggly battles where no one could really seem to get the run on one another. Is that a good way to describe how it was out on track today?
Yeah, definitely. Just like real life, it is. This track is probably one of the hardest to overtake at. Especially when you're going down the straight in a pack, you don't get a big slipstream to then try and move into turn 1, then it's quite easy to just defend the inside into turn 1 and 2, and there's nowhere really else to pass. And then of course you had a few people that were just running people off the track when they were side by side, so it made it quite difficult to overtake. But at the end of the day, I didn't need to get past people, so it wasn't a big deal for me.
Now, I understand that at the back end of last year, you were here in the Junior Saloon Car Championship driving what is one of my all-time favourite cars. I'm not biased, the Citroen Saxo. And obviously you picked up a fastest lap and 2 podiums that day. What's better to drive, the Saxo or the Hyundai Elantra around this circuit?
Oh, that's a good question, that. They might have to put the Saxo into iRacing and I'll answer it for you. Or maybe I can drive the TCR in real life, I don't know. They're both good fun, they're both very different. Obviously the Saxo doesn't have as much power, so it's pretty much flat everywhere. Well, it's not flat, but it's a lot, there's no big braking zones, and it's a lot harder to get runs on people because there's no slipstream. But they're similar, but they're very different at the same time, being both front wheel drive, but one's a lot faster than the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's 120 horsepower. They're not exactly, but they were quick for their day. Let's put it that way. Which I'm really showing my age now as previous owner of one. And well, I think I'd at least say, what's been your favourite moment this season?
Probably the 2 rounds. I think it was Snetterton and what was the other one? Was it Knockhill? I don't know. I can't remember what was after Snetterton, but those 2 rounds where I got both race wins and pretty much was a really dominant display. It's probably my favourite 2 rounds.
Yeah, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to you guys for doing the commentary all season. Shout out to my competitors. Not really sure what order they finished in, but shout out to Will. He has been up there in the Honda as well, which is quite difficult. Shout out to my dad, my mum and my brother. I'm sure they're watching. And shout out to my sponsor, Nest in the Woods.
Yeah, that's not only your victor here in Race 3, but also your champion for the season, Will Redford. Just lined up for yourself, Johan. We're now joined by Will Eatwell.
And yeah, so the man with the black and yellow Honda will just welcome, and also I have to congratulate you. It's been a very tough season, and you've been a strong driver throughout. Bit of a difficult last race with the trickiness to overtake on the track, but how can you reflect on the season past?
I'm pretty happy with the season, to be honest. I picked the Honda. I knew the Honda was the least favourable car coming into the season, but it's the one I like driving the most. So I kind of came into the season not really expecting anything, or even to run at the front, to be honest. So anything other than that was a bonus for me. Today I was just taking it easy. I knew I wasn't going to be able to close the gap in the points, so I was just running around trying to secure second in the championship, just scoring points.
And yeah, it's been a solid race from you. I think there were a few touch and go moments with drivers in front of you, but again, you just brought it home. Looked a bit tricky across the curbs though. Was this one of the most difficult tracks for the Honda during the season, or was it just a case of where you were a bit more focused on consistency rather than raw pace?
I think honestly Snetterton was the hardest track for this car. Not necessarily because of the curbs. The curbs there are quite kind. It's just the acceleration at the corner around Snetterton. The Hondas really struggle at the slower corners, so it was really hard to keep up with the cars in front in a straight line. Knockhill, where it's got the big curbs at the chicane, I found the Honda actually quite nice through the chicane there, surprisingly. But yeah, Snetterton I found trickiest with this car, just to get good lap times and keep up with the front runners.
And then in terms of races, any round that stood out to you as a favorite, or one that you really enjoyed?
The Brands GP loop, where I managed to get pole and drive away in race 1. I think that was the only time this season where I thought that I had the best pace at a track. Shame we couldn't run Brands the GP loop again for today, but yeah, I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, it's I must say it's quite an interesting one when you've got the longer loop. The indie one, it makes for interesting viewing, but I think at some point it becomes a little bit too difficult for overtaking. Then in terms of the season, I know a lot of people, especially with league racing, you've got friends and family or people close to you, friends that are supporting you. Any people that you want to give a shout out for or thanks that supported you all the way through the season?
Yeah, I got some friends within Carl Sim Sport. We're not necessarily a team, we're just a group of friends that do some iRacing, and they've been watching the streams and commenting on Discord after the races on what I've been doing, so that's quite nice. But other than that, yeah, it was good.
Awesome stuff. And then just before we say goodbye, anything interesting that you're planning for the future, or things that you're setting your mind on, or are you just going to relax a little bit and take a well-earned break?
I don't really know if I'm going to be joining any more leagues. This is the first league I've done in iRacing, but I'm looking towards the special events on the iRacing calendar. I think Sebring is the next one, so I'll be preparing for that hopefully and have a good run there.
That will definitely be an interesting one, and good luck if you do participate.
Yeah,
and thank you so much for entertaining us and just giving us some really good racing to look at all across the season.
Thanks for doing the broadcast. It was fun to watch the races back after driving them.
It's always a pleasure. We'll eat well, everyone.
Wow, what a season it has been, and coming up on the channel is a real festival of motorsport action. So kicking off on Friday night, so tomorrow night at 9 PM GMT, it is the Radicals from Barber Motorsport Park, and then on Saturday night it's Formula Renault 3.5, week 11 for them from Okayama. That's 9:45 GMT, and then Sunday, well, that begins the quadruple header here, Apex Racing TV. Starting off with 7:45, it's the SRF Weekend Warriors. I'll be back in the commentary for that one as we head to Phillip Island. And then just after that broadcast finish at 9:15 PM, we've got IGP F3 as they head to Virginia International Raceway. They're coming up at 1:10 AM GMT. It is the XSLR Championship as they make the change and head across into the Lotus 79. Really interesting championship. Make sure you tune in for that one. And then coming up at 2 AM for those of you who are up late or viewers on the other side of the Atlantic, it's Colorado Karting Tour. They head to Barber Motorsport Park. Make sure you tune in for those ones. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications so you know when we go live for all of our broadcasts here at Apex Racing TV. You can also follow us on Twitter where we are at Apex Racing TV. Facebook is facebook.com/Apex Racing TV, and Instagram, that is, well, funnily enough, Apex Racing TV. Johan, before we go, if you had to pick one moment from the season, what would it be as your standout moment?
For me, I don't know if our viewers remember Alton Park, but Alton Park race number 2, going into the hairpin, turn number 3 or 4, I think, and we just had. I remember one of the cars just going across the line. You could see the collision coming all the way, and I can't remember who was with me in the commentary booth, but just shouting, "Watch out!" That was one of my favorite moments in terms of just like utter sheer chaos. But for me, it's going to be difficult if I'm looking at the positive situations. There's been a lot of good overtakes, a lot of good battles. I especially thoroughly enjoyed the AM drivers really gunning it at Snetterton. Even though it was a bit of a calmer race, there was some good racing there as well.
There's so many to pick from on it. It's definitely a challenge, and thank you for joining us for this season. It's been absolutely epic. Congratulations to our championship winner, Will Redford, and thanks for tuning in. I've been Tim Cox with Johan Karinas, and we've had Smooly Kumo on production. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you soon here at Apex Racing TV.